Good morning, everybody. Welcome to A Rebel's Compass. It is Monday morning, and I have Margaret Dennis with me from EVOLV Coaching. Good morning, Margaret.
Good morning, Karen.
How was your Mother's Day yesterday?
It was amazing. I actually was away and I'm still away at a retreat, a women's retreat. And it was just incredible. The leaders we got together over the weekend. It was just a really nice way to connect and yeah, celebrate being moms. And
Yeah.
it's been amazing. It really has been amazing. How
Oh,
about you? How was your Mother's Day?
my Mother's Day was great. I had my youngest grandson overnight the night before, and he was picked up in the morning. And then we went for lunch and had a very relaxing afternoon. It was nice just to unwind and doze in the afternoon sun,
Mm,
just kind
hmm
of floating in and out of the afternoon sun. It was really,
Yeah.
really nice to be able to do that. And it's something I've had to learn to do. So our subject last week was self-care.
hmm Yeah.
And with it being just past Mother's Day weekend, we wanted to continue with self-care. And
hmm
for me personally, finding time to relax was something I really had to teach myself,
hmm
because I was very much a go, 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 go person. And I was raised in, if you sat around doing nothing, then you're lazy. And nobody wants anybody to be lazy. So I was actually very well trained to, as soon as they sat down, it was like, oh, I need to get up and do this. Oh, I need to get up and do that. And I noticed several years ago, I noticed how many times I'd make myself a tea and pour the whole cup out because it had gone cold in between waiting it to cool down so I could drink it and rest for 5 minutes.
hmm
By the time I'd thrown the third cup away, because now it's gone cold because I didn't have a microwave back then, but it was like, there's a problem with this
Yeah,
picture.
a big one, a
There's
big
a problem
problem.
with this picture when you make 3 cups
Yeah.
of tea to sit down for 5 minutes, and because you
Mm-hmm.
take a sip and it's too hot, so you leave it to cool down and go and do 5,000 other things, and when you come back, it's
Oh, I
yeah,
think, yeah, it's inevitable. I remember reading once somewhere the idea of the difference between when a man decides to go to bed and a woman decides to go to bed. Man decides to go to bed, he goes, good night, and he goes to bed. A woman goes, I'm gonna go to bed. But on the way, it's like, oh, I'm gonna throw in this load of laundry and I'm just gonna put the dishes in the dishwasher and I have to put a stamp on this letter and I better just check this. And it's like an hour before you actually get to where you want to go because it's like a constant, like, I want to call it a ticker tape of to-dos, right? Always going, I have to do, to do, to do, to do, to do. And I think um a lot of us are like that. It's like, if I just get this stuff done, then I can sit down,
yeah,
then I can relax, then I can have my tea. And I was the same as you that I find, like, if I go to sit down, if other people are still up doing things around me, the guilt sets in. It's like, well, how come I can sit down and rest, but you're doing dishes and you're doing this and you're doing that? So yeah, the guilt for me would set in now. And I'll tell you, being away over Mother's Day weekend, it, I love being a mom and I love celebrating Mother's Day and I love being with my daughter. Now we did a video call and we're celebrating next weekend, but there was that whole guilt factor about being away on Mother's Day when I should be with my mom and my daughter. And I'm like, no, I need this weekend for me, right? I need to go
yeah,
away for me. And that was a big one for me.
yeah. And the there's so much pressure put
hmm
on one single day of the year,
hmm
right?
Yeah.
So Mother's Day, Father's Day. Okay, so it's time when other family members that you don't get to see too often, if you've got children that live further
hmm
away, they live abroad or something like that, they time differences sometimes can play into that. But on if you
hmm
pick a day like Mother's Day, it's like, okay, well, we're going to make this a special day, so we're going to make the effort to call. But when
hmm
you have family close by, and if you're somebody that spends a lot of time with your family, it
Mm-hmm.
also adds a lot of pressure for them too, and adds a lot of pressure to mums too,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And I find mums around Mother's Day and holidays beat up on themselves a million times more than they do any other day of the week. And we pretty much beat ourselves up on a good day of the week, let alone when it's a holiday. And we feel that we need to perform a little bit more or do a little bit more. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, it's interesting because I actually have of the mind that when it's Mother's Day, I'm not doing anything. It is
Yeah.
my day to be celebrated. So it's the one day where I want to be with my mom. I want to be with my daughter. I want to celebrate being a mom. I want to celebrate having a mom. And I want to do those things, but I also want to be spoiled because I'm like, being a mom is freaking hard.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's one of the jobs that is thankless, right? And being a dad is really hard too. I'm not dissing like one is harder than the other, but I know that coming as a mom, yeah, I really like that one day to be spoiled and to not feel guilty because I'm going to go sit over there while you guys make dinner or you guys do the dishes, or it's the one day of the year, actually, that and my birthday, where I'm like, nope, it's all about me today. Today it's about me. So I'm not going to feel guilty about not getting up and doing things. And but any other day of the week, the 363 other days of the year, yeah, 100%. It's like, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this.
So why do women, why do we need permission from a marketing thing, which where it
Mm-hmm.
all started? Why do
Mm-hmm.
we need permission from something that is marketing to give ourselves the space to have one day off and to feel like we're being spoiled? What if we did that every Sunday or
Mm-hmm.
every second Wednesday? Or
Mm-hmm.
why do women, or dads for that matter, why do we need to have permission to do that, to take care of ourselves?
I think we do it to ourselves,
Oh,
right? We
yeah.
have 100%. I think we have this ideal 1950s housewife kind of view of the world where we have to do everything, right? We have to keep the house clean. We have to make sure the kids are looked after. We have to get them to and from school. Oh, and we need to have our jobs and we need to make sure our husbands are happy and. And I think we have this very warped ideal of what our role is, to be honest. I think
Yeah.
there's that whole idea of I need to be Mrs. Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver Cleaver, right? Like I need to be the one that does everything to show that I care about you, that I love you, that you're important, and that I can do it all. And I think we put that pressure on ourselves, and it's
Mhm.
really, really hard for a woman to turn around and say, can I have some help? Because it's that sense of, well, maybe I'm a failure because I can't do it as well as, Martha Sue down the street. Or I must not know how to handle all of this if I have to ask for help.
Mhm.
And so I think there's that underlying subconscious thing. And it's like, if I have to ask for help, you know,
Yeah,
but I would like to say that I am moving through that and past that, where now it's like, can you please do the dishwasher and can you please vacuum? And I'm quite happy to ask for help now that I've, understood that self-care is
yeah,
getting help around the house. Like it doesn't have to be a one-man show. It doesn't have to be all me. And it's not just around the house, it's everything else that we do in our lives too, right?
absolutely.
So,
Well, if we go
yeah.
back and look at the analogy you gave of the 1950s woman, like
Mhm.
she was a stay-at-home mom.
Mhm.
She got up in the morning, got kids breakfast, got her husband off to work. She made packed lunches for the kids, patted them on the behind and sent them off to school, vacuumed the house, cooked dinner for the evening, sat down with the husband at the dinner table, and then bathed the kids and put the kids in bed. She did not have a full-time job.
Mm-mm.
She did not have to run around like a headless chicken, picking the kids up from this place, that place, and the next place. She didn't have a fat thousand other things to do on social media that she feels
Yeah.
she needs to do. She didn't
Mhm.
have to check 5,000 emails, 200 texts. She didn't have to you know, do all of these other things that we now do, but with that same ideal, like you said, of that 1950s housewife that we left behind a very, very long time ago to become a self-created super mom that can do it all.
Yeah.
And then beat
And
ourselves up when we
when we
can't.
can't.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. And I think that's why we're really putting a focus back onto the importance of looking after ourselves, right? Like and being okay with the fact that we can't do it all. I don't want
Yeah.
to do it all.
No,
I did for a while. I needed to be the
I
super
tried
mom
for
for
a
a while.
while.
Oh yeah, me too. Me too, because I'm like, this shows I care. This shows that I love you and you're important to me. And so I'm going to burn myself at all ends to just prove that I'm this amazing mom and this amazing partner. Now I'm like, yeah, you know what? There's dust bunnies rolling through my house that look like tumbleweed. And that's okay because I'm going to sit down, I'm going to have a coffee for 5 minutes and they'll still be there. But
Yeah.
it took me a long time to get to a place where I was okay not doing it all and okay with my house not being 100% like white glove perfect. And it was okay that my kid didn't always have the most nutritious lunches when they went to school. Like sometimes you've just got to allow some of those things to go just to be able to go, you know what? Now I need some time for me. And it's
Yeah.
okay that I take that time. And it's okay if things aren't perfect in my house. And I think we try and live up to this unrealistic standard that really, you see people on social media and they look like they got it all together. Yeah, but how many of them have a housekeeper and other people who are coming in and doing a lot of those things for them? I don't. I don't.
No, me
So,
either. Oh,
so you know what I invested? I invested in one of those automatic vacuum cleaners that's on a thing that every 9 o'clock every morning it goes around, it vacuums my house for me. I'm like, sweet deal. One less thing I have to
exactly. Exactly.
do.
I say one of
Mhm.
the other things about self-care, and I'm going to use Mother's Day weekend as a big one for this,
Mhm.
is the reflection. So when you
Mm.
get to the point where perhaps your children are 9, 10, 11, or 15 or 25, or as mine are, the majority of my kids are in the 40s or close to the 40s, where you can actually look back and go, you know what, I wish I hadn't have done that. You know what,
Mhm.
I wish I'd have changed that. I
Mhm.
wish I'd have known that back when. And, you know, 2020 vision gives you a very different perspective on things. And what we
Mhm.
forget when we start looking back on things that we wished we hadn't have done is we have evolved and changed over all of those years and gained wisdom and knowledge because of
Mhm.
our experiences we
Mhm.
didn't have, that when we look back on and go, oh, I wish I hadn't have done that. Well,
Mhm.
if you'd have known,
You may have
you
done
can
it
only
different.
do what you know at the time. But I find
Mhm.
that moms, we beat ourselves up thinking that we could have done a better job. We should have done a better job. I wish I'd have done this. I wish I hadn't have done this. And
Mhm.
we're looking from a vantage point that could be years where the event took place and you are now. So you're
Mhm.
looking through very different eyes.
Oh yeah, 100%. And they say hindsight's 2020, right? Of course, anything you look back on 10, 15, 20 years later, you're going to look at it differently and go, I wish I had it. I wish I had it. But I think it's really important to take a look at where you are in the moment right now and allow yourself to say, this is where I'm at. This is what I need. And this is what I was able to do. And this is what I can do today based on the information I have, the person that I am, the support network around me, the way my kids are, the way my spouse is, the way my friends, like, this is where I am at this particular moment. And I'm doing the best that I can do.
Yeah.
And
And
it's hard
acknowledge
to do
the
that.
achievements. You know,
Yeah.
acknowledge the achievements, acknowledge, you know, that this is part of self-care too, is
hmm
acknowledging the achievements as a mom, you know, those
hmm
milestones. None of our children come with a handbook.
No,
And
no.
I think after generations and generations, somebody would have written one by now.
I think Dr. Spock was the only one who tried. And even
Oh,
then I wouldn't be going by all of that. But
I
I
was
think
gonna say, look,
it's the one job in the world that never comes with a manual, right? We
and
have to take
it's
driving lessons to
changeable.
drive.
Yeah.
We have to go through marriage classes to get married. We have to be a certain age to drink. We have to be a certain age to drive. And there's all these things that like even to get a job, like you have to have training in certain for certain jobs, right? You have to go through training. For a baby, you want to be a mom, here you go. Good luck.
Yeah.
You know? And you're right. Like we're going day by day by the seat of our pants, hoping that we're not like damaging these children beyond repair. And I think sometimes it's great to just look at your kid and go, wow, they're clothed, they're bathed, and they're still breathing. Awesome. My job is done for today.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think
Yeah.
it's important that we see that yeah, you're raising a human.
Yeah.
You are keeping someone else alive, but you also have to keep yourself alive. And yourself alive is not just making it through day to day.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's I think where we lose that. And I think it's easy to lose track of that in the early days of being a mom because
Yeah.
you're 24/7 with a brand new baby. But even then, if you can get someone to watch that baby for half a day and you can go get a massage or you can go and have a nap where you know someone else, it's just where do you fit that time in and how do you support yourself so that
Yeah.
you
It goes back
can be the best mom?
absolutely, but it goes back to what you said earlier, is that we don't like to ask for help.
No.
So when you're handed a brand new baby, it's like everybody else is doing it,
Mm-hmm.
so I should know how to do this. And then
Mm-hmm.
you feel guilty if you hand them off, you feel guilty if you go for a massage, you feel guilty if you go for a nap. And it's all those things that are self-care that are actually going to fill up your tank and
Mm-hmm.
make you feel like you're in a better place to be able to handle things,
Mm-hmm.
should something come sideways your way that you wasn't expecting.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the time when we're in that mindset of I should be able to do it, I should be able to do all of these things, we don't reach out to other people and other moms to find out how they're feeling so that we feel like we're all alone in it. But the
Mhm.
reality is everybody's going through it, but nobody talks to each other. I think sometimes you have the mommy support groups where they go, but it's not always, you're not getting the reality, you're getting whatever version of the reality people want to share with you. But if
Mhm.
you have people that you can actually turn to and go, oh my God, this is so hard, and how about we try and do something together where one day you watch the kids for like 20 minutes or half an hour and then I'll watch whatever it is. And I think we feel like we're floating through this experience
Mhm.
on our own when if you started talking to other people, you'd realize everybody feels the same way. So then how can we support each other? And it's almost like we end up in competitive mode, like, oh, I have to do it because I have to look like a good mom and I have to be the best mom. Well, it's not a competition.
No.
It's not a competition.
No, but we certainly make it feel that way. One of the things that can be very supportive is journaling. And you mentioned
Hmm.
something just then, is the shoulds that we do. I should
Yeah.
do this, and I should do this, and I should do this, and I should do that, and I should have known, and should this. And a should is a limiting belief. A
Hmm.
should is something, when you come up with a should somewhere, it's because there's a limiting belief within you that you don't feel you're adequate in an area, and journal on that.
Hmm.
Really dig deep into why, who told you,
Hmm. Yeah.
and be able to unpack that in a way that maybe once you've written it out in your journal, it will give you a completely and utterly different perspective on something, so that you don't then measure yourself against an imaginary measuring stick to someone else with a
Hmm.
should attached to it.
100%. 100%. It's amazing when you start to put your thoughts on paper, how much clearer they become. And sometimes you look at them and go, oh my goodness, I was being ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like where on earth did I come up with that idea?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then oftentimes it'll come to you as to where did that idea come from? Maybe it was something I heard my grandmother say off the cuff sometime. Or maybe it's the way that I misinterpreted my mother's comment or someone else's comment. Or maybe it's the way I thought I was watching someone raise a child when in reality it was different. Yeah, the journaling can be such an enlightening experience.
Yeah. I know with my kids when they were teenagers, And I think every single parent knows when you get a teenager with attitude, the attitude comes somewhere. It comes in because of who they're hanging around with. It's the hormones, whatever it is, they come with an attitude. And there was a statement I used to use with my kids when they came in with attitude. And that was, whatever they would say to me, it was, "This is what I just heard you say. Is that what you meant? And if not, do you want to reframe it so I understand what you're saying?" Because we started off, I know many times ago, "Don't use that attitude with me." And they'd say, "I didn't mean it that way." It was, and that's where I learned to say that, "This is what I heard. Is that what you meant to say? And if not, do you want to reframe it?" Because it would give them an opportunity to reframe something. It gives you an opportunity to say, "This is what I actually heard." And it stops the situation spinning out of control, which is also going to give you space and give you an opportunity to breathe.
Which is exactly what you give yourself when you journal.
Absolutely.
Is you get your chance, like, is that really what I meant? Do I want to reframe that? Yeah, I love that. And now I'm glad you shared that story. That's a good one. I'm going to use that actually.
Yeah, I
I
found it. I remember doing it with my middle son, and there was an attitude. He was already in his 20s at this point, and I can't even remember what. It was a long time ago, because now in the 40s, and it was an attitude of something. And I was doing something in the kitchen, so only half listening, and I turned around and I went, "Okay, this is what I just heard you say. Is that what you actually said? Or do you want to reframe that?" And he stormed off out of the house. I'm going, "Okay, that's clearly what you meant then."
Yeah.
And they ended up staying out overnight and came back the following day and said to me, "Mom, sometimes you really, really tick me off because you make me think, but I love you." And I've had a few conversations with my, and I'm sure you have too. "You tick me off, but I love you."
Yeah. I still love you, but man.
Yeah. Like you say,
Yeah.
it's not easy being a mom. And, I think the more that we can take pressure off ourselves of feeling like we should have done a better job when we did the only job that we could.
Yeah.
And actually taking the time to, pour yourself a glass of wine, buy yourself a box of chocolates, pick up a good book and sit and read a good book, and create time. We've talked about this in previous videos. We've only got allocated a certain amount of time. And if you don't take out half an hour and say that you're worth half an hour, then if you don't value you for half an hour, why should someone else?
And you're modeling it for your children too,
Absolutely.
right? When you say, "I need half an hour, and this is why," because it helps mommy feel better, helps me fill up my cup so I can be a better mom. And so it also helps me be more patient. It helps me feel like I'm important. And so I would even reflect it back to my kids and say, how would you like to do that for yourself? Where would you like to carve it out time that's just for you so that you can fill up your cup? And share those experiences with them, right? You get to set out your time and it'll be uninterrupted. I'm going to set out my time, and then we can respect each other's time so that I know you're doing something that's going to fill up your cup, but then I'm doing the same for me. And look at how much of an impact that has in a positive way on our relationship. Same with your spouse or your partner. If you're living with one, right? How can you fill up your cup? What do you need to fill up your cup? Okay, great. I'll support you in that. This is what I need to fill up my cup. I need half an hour in the tub. Nobody bugs me, or I need to go for a walk by myself, not with the dog, not with the kids, not with anyone, just by myself. Could be something that simple, but I think it's really important that for a lot of women, we've never asked ourselves what we need. We've never really paid attention to what is it that fills up my cup. I've been so busy doing for everybody else. I don't really know. And so that's actually the first place to start is, what do you enjoy doing? What gives you energy? Maybe you need a nap. Maybe it's, I need half an hour to lie down.
Absolutely. You know,
Hmm.
you mentioning that actually brought up for me when I got divorced, and I had spent so many years taking care of family, taking care of
Hmm.
children and a husband and a house, and like we've just talked about.
Hmm.
But when I got divorced and my children are all grown now and have their own homes, their own wives, their own lives, and I was by myself, that was a question I had to ask myself.
Hmm.
What do I really want? What do I really want?
Hmm.
What do I want to listen to? I could listen,
Hmm.
watch, what TV shows do I want to watch? What do I want to
Hmm.
buy from the grocery store? Because I hadn't put myself in a position where I did that for myself on a regular basis. It might have happened on an odd occasion, but it wasn't something I did for myself on a regular basis. So
Hmm.
asking yourself those questions is incredibly powerful
Hmm.
to give you some insight as to where you can create a level of self-care for yourself so that you actually show up as a better person, not only for yourself, but for everybody else.
100%. 100%. And I know I went through a bit of that too when I left my husband too. It was a lot of, okay, now what for me? Like
Mm-hmm.
what do I do for me? And I'll be honest, I think I I was practicing self-care back at then, where I would, every 6 months go for a massage, or I would take time and go out for a night with my girlfriends. Um, but I was pretty much 24/7 with our daughter, because he worked outside of the home and I worked too. But when I was home, I was with her, and there was a part of me that's like, I don't want to be away from her. I enjoy spending
Mm-hmm.
time with her. And he did too. I'm not saying that he didn't. He did. Um, but when I left and we separated, it was a lot of, okay, well, what do I really want to do now?
Yeah.
And it was really, for me, it was life changing, because
Mm-hmm.
I was able at that point to pursue the things that really interested me, and to create a career of my own doing what I do now. Like, it's taken me
Mm-hmm.
almost, I'm 6.5 years in now, but it took a lot of, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
What what really fills up my cup and brings me joy? And I have an exercise I do with my clients when I'm working on, what is it that you want? It's not just your knee jerk reaction. Oh, well, I want to go for a massage. No, but what do you want? And I always say to them, ask yourself that question 7 times
Yeah.
and sit with it, because there are 7 levels. Like, if you go, oh, I want to do this. Okay, well, what do you want? No, what do you really want? What do you want? And I remember doing this with I was doing it in a workshop, and one of that was with, a lot of them were female entrepreneurs, and I said, well, what do you want? And the one woman said, well, I want, the success in my business. And as we went through it, by the time we got down to the seventh, she was like, I want a baby. And
Yeah.
so it went from, I want this to, I want this. And you do the same with your self-care, right?
Mm-hmm.
What what fills me up? This. Okay, but what really fills you up? What really fills you up? What really fills you up? What really brings you peace? What really fills your cup? And the more you dig, the layers come back, and you start to see a side of yourself that you may not even know is there. And
Absolutely.
and I'll tell you, it feels like coming home. It
Yeah.
really does.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does. And, you and I have had conversations off camera when we talk
Hmm.
about this on where you can, when you get to those levels, you really start to look at how you learn to fill your own cup, how to
Hmm.
love and nurture yourself, how to recharge your own battery and not
Hmm.
expect someone else to do it or deplete
Hmm.
yourself to the point where you are on life support, so to speak, and
Hmm.
almost ready to flatline because you have no more energy left to give.
100%. A
Yeah.
100%. And just as a last thing before I know we're going to be wrapping things up, is I remember what you had said before, is taking that measure before you go to bed at the end of the day. Like, you want to make sure your cup is full before you go to bed at night. Because if you go to bed empty, you're going to wake up empty.
Empty.
And
Absolutely.
so you need to be able to fill that cup every day. And it doesn't have to be anything major, right? It
No.
could be, I'm just going to take 10 minutes and read my book before I go to bed. or something in your evening if you haven't had time during the day, that'll just give you that time because you are so worth it. You are, and I think we forget our own value in that
Oh,
equation.
we do. And I have a really cool, very, very easy technique for filling your cup up. There's a couple. So one of them can visualize and scan your body before you go to bed at night. And everybody that you've connected with, whether it's your work colleagues, whether it's your partner, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your children, it doesn't matter. You visually unhook yourself from them because they can be and I don't mean this as a disrespect. It's an energy attachment that can be a drain. So it's a connection between us. When you and I connect, there's a connection between us. There's a connection with your family. And that connection can continually drain you. So if you scan your body and visualize your body and actually look for, and I always visualize them as fishing hooks, and you just unhook them. You just unhook them and let them go and send it back to the person and send, I'm sending you love so that you can have a peaceful night's rest. And you unhook them all, you unhook them all. And as you're unhooking them, I'm sending them back to you so you can have a peaceful night's rest. So that you actually are completely unhooked before you go to bed at night. And the last thing would be, what is your favorite color that you feel charged with? And if mine's lime green, I love lime green. So mine's lime green. So lime green would be a color that I would ask my body as I close my eyes at night. Lime green is my favorite color. I feel like it's self-charging, self-generating, and it brings me joy. Saturate every cell of my body as I sleep with this color.
Oh, I love that.
And it's something
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah. And it's something that for me works. It's something that I know the subconscious mind works while we're sleeping. So they're just a couple of techniques that we can use. Well, I know we have to close, Margaret, and I want to thank you again for joining me. I'm absolutely loving doing these little short podcasts with you and sharing some tools and bringing some light to some of the subjects that we deal with on a daily basis. So thank you very, very much. And for everybody,
thank you.
Oh, absolutely. For everybody watching, please share these videos. You never know who needs to hear what we've talked about today. Maybe one of the techniques that Margaret shared is something they need to hear, or something that I did. And if you're looking for any other coaching, please reach out to Margaret or myself. We're here to the best of our ability to be able to support you in your ever-evolving journey. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye for now.
Bye.